Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome. This is season 2, episode 11 of the Unofficial Official Story. I'm your host, Jennifer, and I don't know, I'm kind of in my head today because I went to a mixer event last night for Lunar New Year. People say I'm extroverted. I actually have a little bit of social anxiety, I guess. So then I'm all overanalyzing all my interactions from last night. So
I'm Dwayne, and I'm also in Jennifer's head. No, I'm doing great. Yeah, it's good to see my old friend Tess here. So I'm in a good space, and I'm not thinking about my interactions from last night because they were all drunk and I was sober.
And I'm Koji, and I'm outside of my head.
We're going to look at paranormal, conspiracies, unexplained phenomena, cryptids, true crime. And by the end of this episode, we're going to tell you what really maybe happened. Guys, this is the very last episode of season 2. Oh.
Yay! I mean, boo.
Oh my gosh.
Is it a yay or boo? I'm not sure.
It's a yay, right? Because you made it. You made it, and it's a boo because people want more. But it's a yay again because it's a season 3.
I just can't believe that it's been 2 years we've been doing this.
That's crazy.
All right, so this episode, this one's a weird one because I'm a Democrat, I'm a bleeding heart liberal, I like the Clintons, I think. But we're going to ask the question, did the Clintons have NBA basketball star Kobe Bryant killed?
Oof.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but first we're going to introduce our guest, writer, Tess Rafferty. What up, Tess?
Hey, thank you guys for having me on.
Tess, she's a very funny writer and stand-up comic. And she actually, I wanted Tess to be on this episode because from her Facebook post, I know that she's a supporter of Hillary Clinton. And so I thought it would be great to get that perspective on all things Hillary, all things Clintons. And Tess is an author. She has my favorite type of book, which I didn't realize that till recently. It are like sort of murder mystery kind of things. And Tess, tell us the name of your book.
Well, my most recent book is called To Lie in the Sun. I know that we're audio only, but you guys can at least see a copy of the book. It's the 4th book in a murder mystery series I've been writing for the last couple of years based on the heroine Kat Kelly. So they're very funny, tongue-in-cheek mysteries, and they all take place in Italy.
Very nice.
Highly autobiographical up into the point where someone dies.
Right. I think most of these, I haven't read your book yet, but these type of books, you can kind of jump in on any book. Is it sort of like that as well?
Absolutely can jump in on any book and still follow along. I have crippling at times OCD, and I'm very much a completionist. So I have to go back to the beginning of almost anything I start and start with book 1 for me. But, other people aren't wired like that. They have happier lives and are
Right.
They can probably leave the house without checking the oven 4 times.
Right.
How did you become a writer?
I traced my earliest origins to being a writer to hating church, because when I would go to church once a week, I would be sitting there just trying to distract myself with anything. So I would tell myself stories and make things up in my head. And then I went on to I did a lot of acting in grade school and high school and stuff. So I went on to study acting in college, and I was just really disappointed with the roles for women. I thought they were just all kind of boiled down to basically someone's mother, whore, maid, or wife. I felt like, well, I can do better. Nobody's really telling my story. Nobody's really talking about things that affect me or how I look at the world. So I started doing playwriting and stand-up comedy, which is how I met Dwayne, because stand-up comedy at least gave me more of a voice. Not that many people in the stand-up world wanted to necessarily hear or promote that voice, but at least gave me a chance to have my own voice and my own perspective. And then that just kind of went into writing for late night, writing scripts, and then writing books because I enjoyed that medium as well.
Awesome. And one of the reasons, like Dwayne said, we brought you on because you're political. Tell me about your political awakening. Was there a moment, or was it over the course of a longer time? Or
politics was always in my life, for better or for worse. My grandfather had been the head of the Democratic Party in the state of Delaware for a number of years, including when President Biden first got elected to the Senate. So it was always, at least for my family at large, we were always Democrats. There was always arguing about politics over Saturday night dinner, people getting heated. Eventually, some of us peeled off and became Republicans, endorsed that, but they did. So I think it was always in my life. And I think I was always as a kid, I was just always wired with a real sense of fairness. Not to bring things back to religion again, but it is a great place if you're going to have a political awakening. There's a lot of things to rebel against in that. And I remember feeling like, how come men get to be priests, but women only get to be nuns? Like, that doesn't seem fair to me. And so I think just from a very early age, I was very in tune to like the ways in which I, as a woman, was not being serviced by the world around me.
Right.
And that was unfair.
And I'm sure you've come across this as a comedian. It comes up in like almost every comedian has that in their history. Just this idea of fair, or just seeing things that other people didn't see or haven't or are not seeing, and wanting to bring that to the light. And it's interesting because when you're a kid, some kids have this thing where their awareness far surpasses what they can do about it, at that moment in their life.
Right.
And then it's just wait until. And that's why you get the mic, you get the pen, you get that sort of platform. But it comes at a time when you get it, you work hard for it. I mean, like, we've known each other well over 2 decades. And then you're a decade in or 2 decades in, and you're putting your money where your mouth is, whatever your platform is. And then someone flips a switch and now everyone has a platform that they didn't have to work for, and they don't have to sort of like do anything to sustain or prove they're right or wrong. It's just a really crazy place.
All right, what do you guys say? Should we get the story straight once and for all?
Yep, let's do it.
Let's dive in. All right, so if online conspiracists are to be believed, Bill and Hillary Clinton are two of the most nefarious American politicians in our country's history. According to these people, they have allegedly murdered their friend Vince Foster, celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain, disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Queen Elizabeth II, and many, many, many more. I mean, like, far too many for us to list here, up to 50, I think.
Why would he murder the former Japanese prime minister? Or why would they? I mean, what's the point of that?
The why is important, but there's also the how. The how is just as important. Yeah, it's really, really crazy. Like, how could you be that guilty and that Teflon at the same time?
Former President Trump, can we say that about him? Guilty and Teflon.
Yes, in a sense, but it's sort of like the things I think that he's known to have done are like things that are like in the realm of what he could do, right? Like, maybe he fudged something here, he didn't pay some guy there. Like, for the Clintons to be able to kill the prime minister of Japan.
That's power.
That's power beyond power. Two people who weren't born into money. I think it's almost impossible, unless you are really good at research, to know truth from non-truth in this day and age. But common sense, we all still have that.
I think that we're all just so dissatisfied with reality, right? Because the reality of anything is, it sucks. It's nothing's easy. There's a lot of hard work that generally goes into everything. Change is possible, but you're going to have to work for it, right? Yeah, you can get your candidate in office. It requires first of all that you vote, which is staggering because a lot of people don't even want to do that. But then it's going to require that you actually get off your ass and maybe canvass or donate some money or hold a fundraiser or phone bank or text bank or whatever. Change is possible in our legislation, but nobody wants to hear that like it's going to have to grind through years of lawmaking and stuff, and you're going to have to get a coalition on your side, and that takes. No one wants to hear the reality of everything, and how I think that translates to what you're saying. And sorry, I know that there's a long way to make the point. Is that people I think are so dissatisfied with reality that they'd rather believe something fantastical, right? That somehow two people who, by the way, have lifetime Secret Service supervision, right? Lifetime the Clintons have Secret Service. They've got a staff of people. They've got phones that are probably being monitored to some extent or whatever it is, security protocols set up in place. That somehow they're texting hitmen in Japan while like that somehow, like, how are they setting this up? Are they doing a dead drop? Like, what is the thing? They'd rather believe that somehow than like, I don't know, maybe people just don't like her because she's a capable woman and so they make this shit up. Like it's Occam's razor and nobody wants to believe that. Instead, they're like, no, she killed Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Why would she kill RBG? She's on our side. All that kind of stuff about like, but I think we're just so dissatisfied with reality.
It almost feels like it's a custody battle, and somehow Hillary herself is one parent, and then all the Republicans are the other parent. And whenever we go to their house, they just shit on mom.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So
well, I always said when she was running against Bernie, it was very much divorced parents. He was like the dad who was like, I'm going to give you a car. And she's like, you get back to her house and she's be like, how are you going to pay for this car?
Right.
Like whatever it was like, okay, but let me tell you, if you need a car, you're going to need a license and you're going to need to get it insured, and that's going to be an extra expense. And people are like, no, I just want the car. And you're like, okay, so I do feel like there is that sort of custody arrangement going on where people are seeing her as the mom they're rebelling against.
Right.
Reading a book about conspiracies, and they did a study where if I talk about a conspiracy and then the next thing you hear is about a conspiracy, you're more likely to believe the conspiracy. And so in this book, it was really interesting because they talked about how possibly one of the reasons why America became a lot more conspiracy minded after this was this TV show called X-Files, right? X-Files was a big show in the 90s that I loved. But that whole thing was about a conspiracy, a giant government conspiracy. And all these people are working against everything. And they basically threw every conspiracy on the wall. Obviously, I love the show, so don't get me wrong.
Me too.
A lot of people watched that show. And apparently, some researchers and some writers believe that one of the reasons we became so conspiracy minded after 9/11 and after, it grew after 9/11 was that people watch this show every week and they believed it, and they believe that there is a government cabal of people who are doing a lot of crazy things like killing the former Japanese prime minister.
But here's the thing, even if that existed, even though Bill was president, they wouldn't be privy. They're not of that ilk. It would be the same people who killed MLK, Malcolm X, Kennedy, when Eisenhower talked about the military industrial complex. It would be those people, and those people haven't changed. And so it's so weird to now project all that onto these two people from Arkansas who overachieved like crazy. It's the weirdest thing. And one other thing, I write for a game show, and it's amazing how just writing a trivia question for a game show, the level of scrutiny you have to, have yourself, the amount of research that takes is greater than what people post about real political issues. I tried to write a question about Netflix because the whole urban myth was that the creator of Netflix had a Blockbuster account. He had late fee. He was pissed off, went home and created Netflix. Great story. Completely false. So I couldn't write a story about it, even though people think it's true. But you do 2 internet searches and you realize it's not true. It's that easy.
But today we're discussing whether or not the Clintons had a hand in Los Angeles Lakers basketball star Kobe Bryant's tragic passing.
And why would the Clintons want Kobe Bryant killed? Kobe allegedly tweeted, I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton the day before his helicopter crashed. Of course, he never actually tweeted that, but let's just say for the sake of the show that he did. So what did Kobe have on the Clintons allegedly?
Well, here's what he had. According to Bishop Larry Gators, if I'm saying his name right, we'll put a link on this to one of his interviews in our show notes. He claims that Kobe Bryant was invited by the Aspen Institute of Colorado in December of 2013 to take part in the January 2014 Clinton Global Initiative. Okay, that's a lot. It is alleged that Kobe somehow found out that the Clintons were embezzling hundreds of millions of dollars that were earmarked for a Haiti earthquake fund and instead kept it for themselves. Kobe was willing to disclose this information, even if it meant he had to go into witness protection to do so. Kobe Bryant and witness protection. 6'6", Kobe Bryant. Hey, fella, what's your name? Homie, my name is Jeff. I'm here from, I work on a farm. Oh, Jeff, you're pretty tall for a farmer. Anyway.
Plus, the idea that, he's Scooby and the ganging it at this Colorado conference, peering behind doors. He happened to walk into a room. He was asleep on the couch. Maybe someone walked in and told him all about this conspiracy. He overheard it somehow and then woke up. I don't know. How did he just happen to stumble across the evidence?
Well, the same skills that made him a great basketball player are also same skills that made him a great investigator.
I'm picturing one of those cameras that you push in to take the pictures the little cameras that are like this big in the movies. And I always hate those cameras because I'm like, how do you even know it's in focus?
Like he's James Bond.
Also, I think if they were really embezzling, the Clintons were embezzling hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm pretty sure that's going to come out, pretty easily. It's that kind of money trail is pretty big.
That's a lot of money.
With everybody up their asses for 3 decades, that like hard evidence wouldn't come out again about this, that it was up to Kobe to uncover the crime. Like that's it's not like people aren't looking at their every move or something. It's not like there's not people investigating these types of things.
Former President Trump was the biggest grifter in the world. I mean, he'd sell anything. He was taking anything. I mean, how much did the Secret Service pay for his hotel rooms? If anybody was grifting, it was the former president.
Well, I'm glad you said that too, because this story is so ridiculous. You have to, it forces you to look at the other things, right? Like Whitewater, all these other things. Because it's like, why would people believe this? And then, okay, is it a situation of where there's smoke, there's fire? But let's say that there's some level of grifting or using your own political advantage, right?